the day, being able to wake up with a reasonable portion of my health and the ability to go out and make the world a better place, one service activity at a time. I am grateful for the opportunity to be with you all again today. Although we're back to Zoom, there is no such thing as a digital divide. I feel like I am with you in spirit and fellowship, even through Zoom. I'm so very grateful. I'm very grateful for our leadership, both Eric Stevens and Charles Edwards and everyone else who participates in making the Rotary Club of Raleigh the amazing civic organization that it is. I am very grateful for Harrison and his wonderful guests today. We are so grateful and thankful that you are with us today. We are very, very grateful. And anybody else that I may have left out, though you were left out of this invocation, you still mean so much to me, and I am grateful and thankful for your presence today. And always, I am grateful and thankful for Sevelin, who will grace us all with her beautiful and wonderful voice. And with that, I say amen. Thank you. If you would all please join me now for our nation's Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Sevelin.
Thank you so much, Sevelin. I had to do that alone last week, and when I got ready to start singing, Harrison kind of gave me that look like, you sure you got this? Are you gonna be all right? But it's so good to have you back. I really appreciate it, Sevelin. And President-elect Charles, back to you.
My prayer.
Thank you, Sevelin. Thank you, Richard. Just pulling up the my agenda. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask. Sometimes it works. Linda, have you got any guests to introduce? I didn't see anybody.
I don't see anybody today. If anybody has a guest, please unmute yourself and introduce them. Thank you.
Okay. Not hearing anybody. Please remember Cart Bucket and the Happy Dollars. If you, the need of the Blue Bucket doesn't go away to fight ALS and dementia. So please send an email donation either in the chat or an email directly to Linda. Same with Happy Dollars. For the upcoming meetings next week, it's going to be a great event. So please join us. We'll also be back at the Capitol Club. Dr. Carly Eckert of Greenlight will be giving us a presentation and talking about Greenlight and everything that they do. And we will also be awarding the Wilson Heyman Volunteer Award by the club to Van Muir, which will be great. And as we know, Van sometimes brings in her special desserts. So not only should we be honoring her, but also if she does bring desserts, you definitely want to be there. And then the following week on the 24th, Ken Strange is going to talk about his sacred pilgrimage along Spain's Camino de Santiago. I've had a number of friends who have done that, and they say it's quite an adventure physically, but also emotionally, and of course, spiritually. Last week, Linda attended the Southeast Raleigh Club meeting, and would you mind giving us an update on that, please, Linda?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I went to the meeting last week, and as always, they have a great meeting, and they actually inducted a new member, Natalie Ray. For those of you who may have attended the event that they had at Burning Coal, Natalie is a development and fundraising director there, and so she is now a new member of Southeast Raleigh. And they're hoping to get a couple more members in. And if anybody does know of a potential member who either lives or works in Southeast Raleigh, please let me know or Mark know, and we will pass the information on. And they are also working, trying to get a district grant, hopefully, to do a pipeline from Southeast Raleigh students to tech jobs, preferably with Apple or with some other tech companies that have come into this area. And they would like to have some internships for young people in Southeast Raleigh to prepare them for potential tech jobs. So they're an enthusiastic bunch, and they're doing great. And their meetings are right now still on Zoom every Tuesday night, 6:30 to 7:30. If anybody wants to attend, let me know, and I'll send you the Zoom link. But hopefully they will start meeting in person. So anyway, thank you so much, and I hope you guys get in contact with them. They're a great bunch.
How many members do they now have, Linda?
17, and if they get 20, they will be able to be an independent club.
And remember, well, I think everybody on the call today knows that we were the sponsoring club. So not that we want to kick the baby out of the nest, but we do want to see it grow. So Christy, membership report.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to give another update for our next social coming up. We'll do another in-person social this month. It'll be May 20th. It's a Thursday, so it's a week earlier than usual. I know a lot of you will be leaving town for Memorial Day weekend that following Thursday. So we're going to do it a week early this month on the 20th, 5:30 p.m. at Mordecai Beverage Company. So Mordecai Beverage Company is at Gateway Plaza, which is, if you went to the HQ Raleigh mixer with us about a year and a half back, it's that same plaza. It's close to where we were last time at Linwood Brewing. Great area with lots of parking and lots of outdoor seating. So we'll have Linda send out an invite again to get a good head count, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Great, thank you, Christy. These are always great events, and it's nice just to stand around or sit around and have a beverage and see good friends and fellow members of the club. And it's also a great opportunity to bring potential members. I know that David Forrest did that at our last event at Linwood. So please join us. Birthdays and anniversaries. We've got 2 birthdays tomorrow, Martin and Tommy. Congratulations. And then later this week, Tara and Sarah Reeves. Congratulations to you two guys. Are there any other announcements before we proceed? Okay, so I'm going to hand this over to Harrison Turner, who's going to introduce our speaker, Larry Barbour.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I get the distinct honor of introducing the CEO of North State Bank, Larry Barbour. I was telling him, and he doesn't know this yet, but he will become an honorary and official member of the Rotary, just so we can do Zooms like this every time. This is great. But as a quick introduction, in 1999, Larry began the formation of North State Bank, seeking individuals who shared his vision of creating a bank guided by its core values and dedicated to treating employees and customers with dignity and respect. North State opened its doors on June 1st of 2000, and under his leadership has held fast to its identity, remained an independent community bank, and sought growth that adds values to those we serve. A Raleigh native and a veteran of North Carolina banking community, Larry began his career with Wachovia Bank and Trust Company, known as Wells Fargo now. His career was advanced in position of increasing responsibility and authority, first at Wachovia and then at Triangle Bank, where he served as a senior vice president and city executive of Raleigh. With a heart for service, he has lent time and expertise to many Wake County organizations over the years. He's a 3-time member of the Wake Med Hospital Board and past board member for several organizations, including the North Carolina Bankers Association, where he served as chairman from 2010 to 2011, the John Rex Endowment, the Hospice of Wake County Capital Campaign Major Gift Committee, the Think First Foundation, and the North Carolina Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. In 1995, Larry received the Golden Smith Award presented by the Alice Aycock Poe Center for Health Education in recognition of his outstanding support and leadership to help secure the financial security of the Poe Center. In support of his vision, North State Bank created an annual signature fundraiser, which is called Summer Salute, which has to date donated nearly $1.9 million to Transitions Life Center, specifically supporting the indigent care. Besides that, just personally, I honestly truly loved the opportunity I've had working at North State Bank and being under the leadership of Larry Barbour. Not only is he a phenomenal man of the community and someone that you can look up to as a CEO, but he is a man who has a strong conviction to his faith and is unwavering in his pursuit on the call that God's placed on his heart. So, Larry, I really truly appreciate you being here today.
Well, thank you, Harris. I'm excited that you're part of the Rotary Club. You know, you're over 100 years old, this club here, and you help so many wonderful organizations, some that you mentioned earlier that I've been able to help in the past. The Poe Center, obviously the Alliance Medical Ministry, Raleigh Rescue Mission, Salvation Army, Wake Friends of the Homeless, Healing Transitions, and the list goes on. So I really commend this Rotary Club for the work you're doing. And I saw something a while ago where it says service above self. Is that what I read?
That's right. Yep.
And that really speaks to me because I think that's how you have a more fulfilled life. And I want to talk about that a little bit today, but I hope I can share some of our evaluated experience along these last 22 years, plus even beyond that, that will maybe challenge you, inspire, maybe even inspire you. I'm not an inspirational person, but I hope we can maybe share something that will add value to your lives today. That's my goal in being here with you today. So I'm honored to be here. I'm thankful for the great work you do, and I'm very happy Harrison has chosen your club to be a member of. So I want to start out with just a little story. You know, people told me a long time ago, Larry, nobody's ever going to remember what you said when you share with them, but they will remember how you made them feel. So maybe the story will make you feel a little bit, put your memory bank at a higher level. But it was a story of a woman who bought a parrot at a local pet store because she was lonely. She took the bird home, but after a couple of days, she returned to the store to complain. The parrot hasn't said a word yet, she told the owner. Does it have a mirror? The pet store owner asked. Parrots like to be able to look at themselves in the mirror. So the lady bought a mirror and returned home. The next day, she was back at the store because the bird still hadn't made a peep. What about a ladder? The store owner asked. Parrots enjoy walking up and down a ladder. So she bought a ladder and returned home again. She was back at the store the next day. Still, the parrot hadn't said a thing. Well, does the parrot have a swing? The owner asked. Birds enjoy relaxing on a swing. She bought a swing and went home again. The next day, she returned to the store to tell the pet store owner that the bird had died. I'm terribly sorry to hear that, said the store owner. Did the bird ever say anything before it died? Yes, answered the lady. It said, don't they sell any food down there? You know, so the lesson of the story is that, you know, we buy mirrors by which we print, ladders by which we try to climb higher, and swings upon which we seek pleasure, but we neglect food for ourselves and for our souls. And one of the things, when our bank was created back in 1999, really was the organizational time that we started our bank, we had a vision. And there are two words that drove that vision. And I'll say this, here's what I think vision is. You always think of something you see and you think of, we want to be X number of $1 billion in assets, or whatever your company might be striving to be. It's usually financial. I don't think that's really a good vision. I think your vision should consist of your values, your core values, and your beliefs. And we did establish our core values at the very beginning, and we still use them as our guiding post today. And our beliefs, our core values and our beliefs. So your vision consists of your core values and your beliefs. It consists of your purpose. Our purpose. I'm not really trying to promote North State Bank today. I really am not. I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I'm really speaking more community banking, but most of my experience in community banking that where I've learned the most is in our bank. So the purpose of North State Bank is simply this: to add value to the lives of those that we serve. We want to make people's lives better, but the only way we can do that is to get to know the people, because if you don't know what they value, how can you bring them value? And also, before you bring value to people, you have to value people. I learned this lesson over my time in banking, which is several decades. And that is, the minute I stop valuing people, I will not add any value to those people. And also, the minute I stop liking people and loving people, I no longer have permission to lead them. So that's very, very important, to add value. That's our purpose. And then there's always a mission, something that you're looking to. Some people call it a just cause. I think Simon Sinek, who's a great writer, by the way, some of you may have read him, read his books, Why, and that sort of start with the why and what have you. But Simon Sinek says that you should have a vision, or a picture, I should say, of your future that's very, very, that would add extreme depths of value to people in the future, although you may never reach that vision or attain that position. And our mission, and I think Jim Collins calls it a big, hairy, audacious goal, BHAG. Y'all have probably heard that over the years. So our BHAG is to create a better understanding of the financial services in the banking world. It's, I think too often banks are received as places where you go and get the lowest rate on a loan and the highest rate on a deposit and not care about anything else. And it's not that at all. I've learned this, a few recessions reminded me of this, or taught me this. It's not who you borrow at the lowest rate today, it's who you owe when things change in your life. What will the bank do when that happens? So really, it's really trying to eliminate. We want to eliminate from the minds of our customers and our communities the commoditization beliefs people have about banks. Well, you know, Harrison, I need a loan from you. I'm building a building. People will come in and share their dreams with you, and you get excited about that. And they say, well, I've shared that dream with 4 other banks. If you come in at the lowest rate, you can do it. We really don't do well with that. Our rates are not necessarily higher, but we don't like to negotiate when people are trying to have dreams fulfilled, values being added to them. We think that should not be the forerunner of a relationship. So we're very intent, and I don't know that we'll ever do this, but we want to eliminate commoditization thinking about banking in the financial world. But 22 years ago, we saw an opportunity to create a bank that could, I think, add value. And it does add value to the lives. That value may mean simply all phone calls returned promptly, a smile when you on the phone and in person when you contact or interact with our people, and that we're glad to see you, but we're sincere and genuine and authentic about it. And I did learn this about authenticity. You can be sincere and genuine, but authenticity is something somebody else has got to give you. So if we're sincere and genuine, we will be authentic in the eyes of other people. But it could be a $10 million loan, but it could be a lot of things, an array of things where we bring value to people. Standing with them in a time of grief, and being more than just a bank, things of that nature. But someone said the opportunity of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of the opportunity. And that's what we did 22 years ago. And we are still seeing this opportunity that we seized then as a big difference maker in our community here. Our 2 communities we serve are New Hanover County and Wilmington, and Wake County here in this area here. And we believe we're making a difference in the lives of a lot of people. But I do believe this, what I see today is more and more, and this is not true just in banking, but in a lot of businesses, there's too much separation between the customer and the people who serve them. A lot of people in the bigger companies where they're served by certain people have to get permission just about to do anything. One of the beliefs that I have in our company is that we should remain flat and be an organization with as little hierarchy and bureaucracy as we can, so we can get to the matters at hand that people have when they come in to talk to us seeking value, even though they may not know that. And we give them value by responding to them without a lot of static, without a lot of noise, without a lot of bureaucracy. We do not have a loan committee in North State Bank. As long as I'm CEO, we will not have, I don't mean to use this expression the wrong way, but a bunch of cynical old men sitting around saying no when somebody wants to come in and do something. I'm not very good at that. So maybe I went a little too far with that. But really it all boils down to in creating a company with the right environment, you have to have strong leaders. And today I think we still have too many managers. Managers manage things, leaders lead people. In fact, I think that leadership is this. I think it's the art of getting, and I think getting means encouraging and even inspiring people to want to do what must be done. That's also a form of influence. We need to be able to influence people to go to a better place that's better for them and not just for the leader. So it is influence. But I think the best leaders focus on the environment. You hear so much the word used today, culture. I know culture means your values, your beliefs, and behaviors. You'll have better behaviors if you have the values and beliefs to support them. And so culture, in many minds of many people is strategy. It's not a notebook. It's just the way your people, what they value. And that's why it's so important to have alignment in your values when you bring your people in for the first time, or do your people stay here? So I think the best leaders do focus on the culture. Now I understand this. I've heard this many times, and some of these CEOs who write a lot of books, which I'll probably never do, they always say things like, what gets measured gets done. In other words, you better have some measurements, because we know that that's what will motivate you. And by the way, I think motivation's overrated. I don't think I can motivate anybody. I think I can encourage them and inspire them at the highest level, but they got to motivate themselves. But what gets measured gets done. I think a better way of putting that is what gets done gets measured. And that means people are wanting to do it, getting back to leadership, inspiring and encouraging people to want to do what they're doing. The engagement level, according to Gallup today, of American workers is around 20%. 20% in, 80% on the internet, daydreaming, hiding in the closet, whatever it may be, are just not there. And that's not going to get America to greater heights, I don't think, going ahead. So culture is strategy. And I think people, when they come in and they want to know about your culture, they want to know this first of all. They come to work here, or you starting even a friendship or a relationship. I think it applies really in all these areas of your life. They'll ask these three questions. North State Bank, in this case, do you care about me? Do you like me? Do you even love me? Secondly, can you help me? And thirdly, can I trust you? So if we want people to be in on things and want to do it, they got to be satisfied that you care about them, you can help them. They sound a little selfish, but that's the way we are. I mean, we have a little side to us that's a little selfish, but I think that's perfectly normal. And then, can I trust you? So I think to grow, people say, well, Larry, what size are you trying to be, and how are you trying to grow your company? And I said, we're just trying to grow our people. If we grow our people, our customers will be satisfied. If they're satisfied, our customers will demand that we get bigger. So we don't really try to go out and acquire other banks or puff up our balance sheet with numbers. We just simply try to grow and improve our people. And I think also people seek simple things. I don't think, I do believe in sharing the profitability of our company. That's one of the core beliefs that I have always had. The Bible says you don't muzzle an ox while it's treading the grain. And you don't withhold good from those who deserve it when it's within your power to act. So we do believe in sharing the fruits of our labor with our people, and we do as good a job of that as we can. We don't have incentive plans. I'm not going to spend much time saying anything about that, but I think that can get you the wrong behaviors at times. But you should share with those who help you get where you're going. So I think people want three things at work. Once they're into the culture and they're satisfied that you care, they can help them, and they can trust you. They want appreciation for a job well done. You know, unexpressed appreciation does nobody any good. And today, with a lot of technology, which should be an enabler with people with whom you already have a friendship, to keep that friendship alive. You know, Benjamin Franklin said, promises get friends, performance keeps them. You got to work on your friendships. You got to work on it. We do believe in friendship and work mixing. A lot of people teach you get set. I got that. I don't agree with it. I think if you got true, sincere, genuine friends, you should be able to help each other. You should share business with each other and do business together. So they want appreciation for a job well done. Again, unexpressed appreciation. There's so much of that gets left on the shelf. They want to be included. They want to know what's going on. You know, we send out every quarter on a strategy on a page sheet that we have, which tells it that, you know, why the bank was started, recites our purpose to add value to the lives of those we serve. It speaks about treating everyone, because the real vision that I had for the bank in the beginning was to create a place where everyone from all walks of life are treated with dignity and respect. Nobody's treated better as if they're a better person than somebody else. I don't think that's the way we should do. So we treat everyone with dignity and respect, starting with our people. The people want to be included. They want to know how you're doing. And we share our financials very openly. We're very transparent, and we share that very openly with our people. So they're included. They don't have to guess. Well, you go home and visit, how's your bank doing? Well, they could say, my bank is doing this, and our bank is this size, and our profitability is this and this and this. So we want our people to know those things. And the third thing I think people will have to be appreciated and being included is to help with their personal problems. Say, well, Larry, you know, they need to handle that at home. I'm telling you, when you come to work, you don't come to work part and parcel. You come in the whole. If somebody's got a personal problem, that, you know, having an argument with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, you need to kind of figure that out. But if you got some serious health problems, you got financial, you bring it with you. You can't stay at home. And they need help with it, and we need to try to help people with their problems. And that's exactly what we do in our bank. And we're not hesitant to try to help people with those problems, because we want to help them be better people and be better leaders. We started a leadership development program 21 years ago, and all of our people read books, because I learned this a long time ago. I'm going to be like, you're going to be like 5 years from now, the people you associate with, that you hang out with, and the books you read. That's what you're going to be like. You know, in a company, by the way, is known, you know, a business or a company is known for the people it keeps. You know, people say you're known by the company you keep. Well, a company is known by the people it keeps. So we really have to work hard to make sure that we have the right people here, and that we are all hopefully on the same page with our values and our beliefs, because we affect each other. We become like each other. You become like the culture of the company. And I don't want our people here not having the very best values to aspire to and to hopefully adopt and use in their lives with their families. Because again, when our people go home at the end of the day, they integrate their lives. There's no such thing as a work-life balance. That's a myth. You integrate your life, and we respect that. We want our mothers and fathers to go home with energy for their children, for their loved ones, their spouses, their friends, their mates as they go home at the end of the day, and not be so drained here from a bad culture or a bad environment that there's nothing left for them. And I think that sort of wrapping up here, it leads to most companies, I think, avoid, or really maybe don't understand, but should, and maybe a lot of companies do. I hope they do. That the intelligence that really will help your people become their best. And by the way, I believe everybody can get better. Everybody has different gifts, different IQs. I got all that, but I think everybody can get better. And people ask me, Larry, do you want to be the best community bank in America? I say, no. They look at me like I'm, really not very, forward-looking or even ambitious, which is not a word I like that much. But I said, I just want to be better and better and better. If you're not going to be better today than you were yesterday, why do we need tomorrow? So I want to be better. because better is better than best. When you become an expert or you become the best, what else do? You can stop. You can stop growing. You can stop learning. You can stop improving. Because I believe at the end of the day, I'm kind of jumping ahead here a little bit. I was going to wrap up with this comment. I believe this is what success is. We talk too much, I think, today about financial success so we can retire. Well, I personally am old enough to retire. You can look at me and tell that. I don't have, my night cream doesn't work too well. But anyway, I don't believe in retirement. I think if you retire, you change. If you're going to leave something, go to something else, but don't retire. So I'm not trying to be critical of those who retire, because you're probably doing a lot of things anyway, but I'm not much of a retiring person. But I do think that success is this. It's knowing what your purpose in life is, what you were put here for. Why did I get called? I believe I was called to do the work I'm doing. This is a ministry to me to help add value to the lives of our people, to make sure that our people are included, appreciated, get help in their personal problems. We care about them, we trust them, and we can help them. All those things are that's what gets me up every day to come here to improve that, strengthen that. But I think success is knowing your purpose in life. Secondly, it's being committed to continuous growth and development personally. I can't do that for our people. They can't do it for me. We have to do it ourselves. We have to be individually committed to our personal growth and development. Again, you'll be like 5 years from now, the people you associate with and the books you read. Less than 1/3 of American adults ever read a book, ever again, cover to cover, from their last graduation from high school, college, or graduate school. 2/3 of Americans never read a book again. You can say, Larry, that's old fashioned. You just go on the internet. Well, that's information. I know you can read books on the internet, but that's fine. That counts, by the way, that counts. I like to hold the books in my hand. I like to mark them up. You cannot read a book after me, I promise you, but I've read hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books in my life, and I'm not through. I continue to read people like Simon Sinek and Jim Collins and Dr. John Maxwell. He's a great leadership teacher and mentor. I've met Dr. Maxwell several times. So I think success is knowing your purpose. Why am I here? Well, for me, I want to make somebody else's life better. I want to be an encourager. I don't want to be a leaner. I want to be a lifter. I don't want to be a reservoir. I want to be a river. I want to run through people's lives and add value to them, and not just store it up for myself. So I think it's knowing your purpose. It's continuous improvement. And the third thing is sowing seeds that benefit others. I have to admit it. I understand it. I got it. I'm sowing, I'm really planting some shade trees under which I'll never sit. I'm good with that. I hope my grandchildren, whom I love more than anything on this earth, and my friends here at the bank and others that I know will benefit from some of these shade trees and will enjoy that shade if I do not. But I think the final thing I just would say is to encourage people about growing and understanding each other better and working together, having a good culture, having an environment that's good and healthy, that's even inspiring, and it just prompts you to grow, is understanding yourself better. If I'm going to be a leader, the first person I got to lead is Larry Barbour. I cannot lead Harrison Turner if I don't lead myself. Well, that means I got to become more self-aware. It's called emotional intelligence. I'm sure some of you read books on that. Dr. Daniel Goleman's written several books. He's probably one of the best on writing about the research behind emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means 4 things. You got great self-awareness. Therefore, you can, number 2, you can self-manage yourself. You can regulate yourself. You can keep yourself in check. Thirdly, you've got good social awareness. And fourthly, you're able to manage relationships just like you manage yourself. But you cannot do that if it doesn't start with that self-awareness. So self-awareness is probably the number 1 missing ingredient in leadership in America today. That's my opinion. And I believe it's well founded. I'm sorry it's that way. But we don't know who we are. And you've been around people who know who they are. They're not arrogant, proud, or boastful. I don't want to be around those. And by the way, I think likability is another key leadership trait. I'm not going to work with people I don't like. So I try to be likable in a real way. But I'm not going to waste my time with people who aren't likable. So the self-awareness puts you in touch with yourself so you can know yourself, grow yourself, and then forget yourself. You've been around those people. They're calm, they're peaceful. You can see it. They don't get rattled. They don't get defensive every time you make it, and they can laugh at themselves. They can take it, take a joke about receding hairlines, which I certainly have, or whatever else, which I can't help, by the way. Maybe I could, but I'm not going to do that. But it's people who are at peace about that because they know their warts, they know their weaknesses, but they also know their strengths and their gifts and their calling, and they're comfortable. I wish I was 6'4" and could have played basketball and I was more hands-off, but I'm good with what I got. I'm thankful, not arrogant about it, not proud, not better than anybody else. Again, dignity and respect. But I'm very comfortable with that. I want all of our people to be comfortable with themselves and have great self-awareness so they can know themselves, grow themselves, forget themselves, and put themselves into the worlds of other people. My grandson, he was 3 years old, used to say, I played and I still work out with a trainer 3 times a week so I can still get around with him. Of course, he and I play golf together at the age of 11 now. My granddaughter's 8, almost 9 and 12, both of them. But I'd say when he was 3 or 4, I'd say, Hayden, how old is Papa? Every time for about a year, he'd say, you're 3 years old. I said, okay. Because I got down on my knees, I got into his world. I was down there with him. I played hide and seek. I did silly things. I rode him on my back. I did things in his world. And I think that's what we've got to do. We got to get into the worlds of our customers, of our friends, of our loved ones, and appreciate them and make sure that culturally we've got a good thing there and that we can help each other by adding value to each other and making our lives richer and more fulfilled. And those are some of the things I wanted to share today. There's nothing scientific. I'll say scientific. You can say, well, Larry talked about soft stuff today. Well, I think humans are now underrated. And it's time to turn our way back to making sure that we are more self-aware, that we are growing emotionally in our intelligence so that we can connect better with people. Some people communicate, some people connect. Connecting goes deeper, and I try to be a connector. Again, not just a communicator. I try to connect. So those are my thoughts. I hope something there helped you. And by the way, everything I learned, everything I shared today, I learned from somebody else. It's not my original thought, so I have to always credit where it's due. So thank you.
Well, Larry, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I know that it seems like we got some chat there, some questions. Richard, I don't know if you want to start on there, if anybody has any questions they'd like to reach out and ask.
Harrison, Richard had to jump off for a meeting.
Okay.
We do have one question so far, and hopefully we'll have more. And thank you, Larry, for that. That was, I have a question, but I'll wait on this first one. Have you been able to develop any impressions of our region's economy by the number, size, type of business loan applications you've been receiving of late? I mean, I think this question is how are we doing now that we're hopefully starting to see the end of the COVID pandemic?
Yes, but I think this is probably one of the most misunderstood times financially. And I'm not trying to, I've been in bank, this is my 49th year in banking. I'm still a student. I really am. I'm trying to learn every day and learn new things because once you stop, you die. Stop learning, you die. So I'm a learner, and I believe this is the most misunderstood financial era or period of time we've ever been through, because you've got an economy that says 6.4 GDP, which is very, very good, gross domestic product. And that comes from 80% of that, 75 to 80% comes from people spending money on the street, going into the grocery store, going to the barber shop, going to get their car fixed. That's where it comes from. It does not, and I'm not a politician, by the way. I am not into politics. I'm in a party, but I'm more independent. I'm a registered Republican, but I'd vote for Jim Hunt if he ran for governor again today because I think he's a good man. But anyway, so I'm not really trying to speak to this from politics, but I do have to say, whoever is in leadership, The government's job is not to, through fiscal policy, make the economy better. It's up to us. It's an insult to us. Now, the Federal Reserve must help that with monetary policy. What the problem is right now, I don't think the Federal Reserve understands maybe how good things are, and that we are really flirting with some inflation. And the Federal Reserve has said, as long as it doesn't go above 2%, that is the inflation rate, we're not going to do anything. And I've never heard a Federal Reserve chairman. I'm not trying to be critical of Mr. Powell. I've had my comments, by the way, I'm making to you today, were sent to him by a Federal Reserve governor I had a personal conversation with. So, you know, he knows people are asking this question. Why do you tell the world, and the banks included, that you're going to keep interest rates at 0%, you know, for 3 or 4 or 5 years? We cannot make money at 0% interest rate. You cannot get very good rates on your money when you deposit it at 0%, even though it's not zero, but it's close to it. I mean, it's not right. Deposit rates are the lowest I've ever seen. And loan rates have to have some, you know, margin there so we can stay in business. So I think the real concern right now is once inflation happens, it's going to happen quickly. Federal Reserve says that's when we'll act. The Federal Reserve has always preempted inflation by acting ahead of inflation to precede it. They're not doing that now. I'm concerned about that.
Okay, thank you. Kirk Warner asks, do you keep a recommended reading list? I think he's also angling, do you share your recommended reading list?
Yes, if he'll send me his email, I will send it to him. lbarbour@northstatebank.com, lbarbour@northstatebank.com, and I will send him my recommended reading list.
Great, thank you. I think we may want to share that throughout the entire club, actually.
That'd be great.
I have a question. So I've had the opportunity in my career, and you're right, I retired, quote unquote, about a year and a half ago from NCDOT, and I'm working. So
Yes.
I failed retirement. I'm just in
You
a
look
different.
You look too young not to work.
Well, thank you very much. So when you're going out to find people to come to North State Bank, what are the key features, characteristics? I mean, we know Harrison, so I could probably come up with a sense of the type of person that you're looking for, but how do you do that?
Well, unless it's my CFO has to be a CPA. Okay, I got that. Our legal officer has to be a lawyer. I got that. And we have some technical people in IT. They have to have that. But other than that, I'm not really looking at their education. I'm looking at their ability. You have to all have cognitive, you know, capabilities, but I'm looking at the person and the whole person. I'm looking at what kind of, do they have a spirit of generosity? It's 3 things. Do they have a spirit of, not just generous with finances, generous with themselves? Do they care about other people? Do they want to work with other people? Do they want to learn? Or do they think they've already arrived? So a spirit of generosity, a spirit of humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less so you can think of others more, and you learn more that way. So generosity, spirit of generosity, a spirit of humility, then a spirit of integrity, that we can trust you, and you're going to make mistakes, you're going to make bad mistakes sometimes. You're either going to make bad decisions, and you know it. You can be forgiven for that. I do believe in the power of forgiveness. And so we're looking for people that are that way, and then we believe that we can teach them because of that kind of mindset. You know, Dr. Carol Dweck, who's on my reading list, she wrote a book called Mindset. She says there's fixed mindsets and there's growth mindsets. The growth mindset is what we want in our bank, based on people with spirits of generosity, care about others. They're willing to give themselves, and maybe, you know, hopefully they give to other people that need it. They have a spirit of humility, and they have their people of integrity. And so, but I tell you, the thing that most drives, I think the number one thing people are looking for today in terms of relationships, because we do believe in friendships and relationships and not commoditized banking, is people who have empathy. And empathy is the ability to discern the thoughts and feelings of some other person, followed by a proper response. In other words, you're willing to find out what people are going through. You're not afraid of that. You don't want to stay superficial. You have empathy, and people of empathy people are attracted to people of empathy. That's one of the things that's missing today. Other than self-awareness, it's empathy. You know, I don't have time for that. It's not my job to save the world. Mother Teresa said, I got that. But if somebody's in front of you and you know they need some help, or you know they need a little extra sensitivity, you should give it to them.
So that's a carryover from what you were talking about, in that you want to, well, you're a family. The way you were talking about, if someone's coming in and they've got an issue that they're trying to deal with, but they're still coming into work, is just to carry that on. So that you're dealing with, whether it's a client or an associate, they're part of the North State family. Is that?
You know, I don't want two separate people. I don't want somebody who comes here, pretends or tries to. It won't last very long because the culture will repel it.
Right.
The culture will repel those people. I don't have to do it. The culture will do that.
Right.
So the same person here, same person that goes at home is, they come in the whole. You're a whole person.
Right.
And you need help in the whole.
Right.
I'm not going to give you stories of people we've helped, but you know, if you come here and you're passionate about your work, you're committed. And commitment's a thing. Commitment to me is an act of love. I'm committed because I love what I do. I love the people I'm with. If they get in trouble, we're going to help them. We've had people who were worried they didn't have they got very sick with cancer. And you put them on disability, get 2/3. 2/3 would not work. It works here. They didn't have to worry about that working here.
Right. Okay. Jim Dorsett has a question, and before I read the question, he has a statement and a question. I think we need to congratulate our past president for the recognition that the bar recognized, and I forget the actual award that he received last week, of a community lawyer leader, something like that. But congratulations, Jim. Jim writes, thank you for sharing us the principles we can apply to our own occupations and lives. You'll be proud but not surprised to know that Harrison Turner exemplifies those principles. His question is, what changes do you foresee in the banking industry in the next decade? So time to get out the crystal ball and
Well, Jim Dorsett's a great lawyer. He's a great man. I knew his dad when I started with Wachovia. I've told Jim this before. His dad was one of the most humble, generous men of integrity, all those things I talked about. His dad, who was legal counsel for Wachovia Corporation. And what a great man Mr. Dorsett was. And I know Jim has followed. I'm not trying to emulate. I know he's not trying to be everything his dad was, but what a great guy you are, Jim. Thank you. You know, I see a lot more consolidation. I see a lot more separation from customers through technology. And technology, listen, I love tech. We have a chief technology officer here. Technology is so important, but it cannot put too much space between us and our customers. I think technology is seeping in to do that. And so the judgment part, and I don't think systems and processes could ever replace leadership and judgment. So, you know, I think, Jim, what we'll see is more separation from the customer through technology. It will become less personal. It won't be as much fun. And by the way, I think you should have fun with whatever you do, life, work, whatever. But and it's just going to be a lot more. We have now when I started in banking, there were 28,000 banks. That's been a while back. There are now less than 5,000. There are 917 of those banks. Only 917 of those less than 5,000, 4,800, over $1 billion in assets. Well, we are a $1.3 billion bank, so we're in a group of 917, which is only 18% of the bank, which tells you most of these banks are smaller community banks. And the value they bring to these communities will be lost. And you have to use only technology or drive 30 miles to go to a bank, or 50 miles in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, wherever it may be. I'm very concerned about that. And that's not going to be good for our economy, but the regulation, the overregulation, and the challenges from the Federal Reserve System right now, they're all grouped together. They're hurting these real small banks they live and die by net interest income, and net interest income. And they make loans to people. They help these barber shops and these small independent, and they're not going to be there, and that's going to hurt the economy badly. That's my concern.
there seemed to be, and this is just me on the periphery, that there was not a tidal wave, but there seemed to be a lot more community banks emerged in the last 20 years, at least here in the Triangle. I may be wrong or right about that. But was that representative of the rest of the United States economy, or was that unique to certain parts of the US?
So that's nationwide. And North Carolina has Ray Grace, who's retiring in July, as Commissioner of Banks. I don't know how many of y'all know Ray. I know Jim knows Ray. He's a very good personal friend of mine, and he's retiring as Commissioner of Banks. He's got only about 50 banks. There used to be several hundred banks in our state. Now we're down to about 50, and that number has kind of pushed it. It's kind of like really savings and loans, and call them banks. And savings and loans have always played a good role in our economy. So it's everywhere, and it's because you can't afford to take. Truist, SunTrust, and BB&T, one of the driving forces in that. We call it a merger, but one always buys the other, and I think BB&T bought SunTrust, but they came together because of the technological challenges for the year. They were both $250 billion banks that are now $500 billion, half a trillion. They did it, so you can imagine what technology pressures are on these smaller banks. There needs to be some help there. There needs to be some regulatory help there, and there needs to be help from the regulators as far as not maybe giving some easing up on their capital requirements a little bit so they can put more in technology. But that's a real challenge. It's the technology, and it's just the banks coming in and really commoditizing their business. And JP Morgan Chase has been here for years through credit cards. They're now here physically. Great bank. But, I'm not going to put North State Bank in Charlotte or Greensboro. I'm just not going to do it. It's just throwing more mud at the wall. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, I had one question if we have just a quick second.
Yep. Go ahead.
So it's been a wonderful experience for me to not only just hear these ideas of vision, our values and whatnot, and what leads us, but actually being seen played out on a day-to-day basis working here at North State Bank. I truly appreciate you being true to that. But I guess my question is, in the person in your position, as the world has changed so much and so dramatically, as we, social media and everything, it's just things come at you rapidly, right? Pressures come at you rapidly. I would be safe to say that you have run into your roadblocks or hurdles and things like that. How do you stay true to yourself as well as to the company staying true to those things? Because I'm assuming it could be very easy to waver from those values, those beliefs, based on, outside pressures and things like that. So I think you touched on it with being self-aware and whatnot, but what do you do to make sure you're staying true to those things?
Well, again, it is self-awareness. I know who I am. I know who I'm not, but I know who I am. And those values, if they're really values, and you talk about how important they are, that's when you prove it. And I'm just not going to budge. If people ask me, Larry, is you going to take heat because you closed the bank on Easter? So be it. I'm not a worrier. I don't say I don't get anxious at times. I do, but once I know, and I know, you're not going to move me. It's not stubbornness. It's not being, unmovable. I'm a very forward-looking, progressive person, but in terms of some of those, let me say this. North State Bank is not for sale. When I was organizing the bank 22 years ago, I went to my shareholders one-on-one. I didn't hire a broker, and I said, do not give me your check if you want to build it to flip, as Jim Collins refers to, instead of building it to last. I can't bring Harrison Turners here into this organization, younger people like him and others, if I'm going to sell the bank in a number of years and get very rich myself and my other directors. That's not what this is about. So the bank is not for sale. We became an S Corporation bank in 2016 in order to preserve and strengthen our commitment to independence. We're the longest running community bank in, I believe, this area of Wake County for a long, long time, maybe forever at 22 years. The average life, I think, was usually about 12 years. So I'm not going to move.
Yeah.
Listen, flexibility and being agile and being adjustable and change. You You can change without improving, but you cannot improve without changing. So I'm all for change. Those things are not going to change. That's the independence of the bank, being fair to our people, and fair to everybody, and treating people with dignity and respect. You're not going to move me on that. I would, my grandson calls my office my room. He was a little guy. He said, "Papa, let's go to your room." I'll leave my room in a heartbeat if somebody in this bank gets treated without dignity and respect. I don't care where you're from. I don't care about all these things people are talking about today. I just care about the person's heart. So anyway, it's more than you want to hear. Probably.
No, that was right. That's perfect. That's great.
That's super. Thank you, Larry. And thank you, Harrison. Thank you for bringing Larry to us to this meeting. A lot of stuff to think about. Definitely, we'd love to have your recommended reading list, and definitely get that circulated amongst all of the members. And I messed up. Jim received the Citizen Lawyer Award. Thank you, Mary, for that clarification.
Congratulations, Jim. Congratulations. That's great.
That was super. So unless there is anything else for the meeting, we will do the four-way test, which Larry, I think you basically have done this in your speech. So of the things we say and do, 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill, better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
ROTARY. That spells Rotary. Very good.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.